guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna be reacting to a video called Europe versus America 10 Differences. So I think there's a lot of difference. They're very different places. I think to begin with, one is, one country, and Europe is just like, it's a bunch of other different places, different countries, but I think they're very different. So let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
Europe versus America. It's a debate as old as time. Well, not really as old as time, because the United States is only about 250 years old and Europe is way older, but
Yeah,
still, you know what I'm saying. One's a continent and one's a country. They're two very different and yet still pretty similar places overall. Today I've come to Europe to show you 10 of my favorite differences between the two. Well, actually, I was just here anyway, but I decided to make this video because why not? So without further ado, let's get started. Difference number 1, size. Europe was built a long time ago, and its big cities are narrow,
everything's
small, and the
smaller.
streets are made for pedestrians and horses. Unlike our gas-guzzling stroads in the United States, you can actually walk around, and it's nice and compact. That's why Europeans can't fathom the fact that we can drive 8 hours and still be in Texas.
Flying home from Italy, I literally got a view of the entire country of Monaco outside my window.
That's not a good
In America,
example.
we tend to have a lot more living space, and our houses are definitely bigger. And on more land, typically. Which comes with its ups and downs, because you certainly get a lot of neighborhoods that look like this, and this.
Yeah, the suburbs. Not very nice.
Gas is also a lot more expensive than it is in the States, and so people have incentives to drive less.
In Europe,
and when they do drive, they typically drive these goofy, tiny little Mickey Mouse looking cars. You definitely won't see any gas-guzzling, lifted, 6-wheel pickup trucks with Trump flags anywhere here in Europe. They're just not on our level. I don't know what to tell you. But it is not just the cities and cars that are smaller in Europe, because it's literally everything. For one, the people here are brutally suppressed by smaller food and drink portions, which is totally unfathomable to me. I mean, how could you? That's not a meal.
I think technically that's a normal amount of pasta. I think in the US.
Pantry at 2 a.m. I don't know. It's also fitting. I'm literally recording in the smallest country in the world right now, in the Vatican. But all the countries in Europe are pretty much smaller. I mean, look at the map. It's like, yeah. To give you an idea of just how much smaller living in Europe is than the United States, just take a look at the population density. It's a little different. Other smaller things in Europe include the rooms, elevators.
Everything's
what else
smaller,
is smaller in Europe, Dad? People are smaller. The sizes are different. I have to buy large shirts here.
Hold on, I don't think that's true. I think I've seen, I think Europe actually has, people are taller, I think, in Europe. I think, Germany and the Netherlands, I think there are places, and also, Spain. There's, a pretty tall people over there, so I don't know, I don't know if that's totally true. Maybe he means, by size, people are maybe, thinner in Europe, I don't know.
Here because I'm American. You get the point. Literally everything is smaller here. It's kind of weird, but kind of cool. I don't know. Difference number 2, bathrooms. In America, it is more than common for us to just stop on the side of the road at any old business.
Oh, because you need to pay to use the bathroom in Europe.
That is unless you live in the state of Florida, because you guys literally just whiz anywhere, apparently. Seriously,
Florida's a special place.
What is wrong with you people? You can't really do that here, though. If the business does have a bathroom, which most of them don't, typically only coffee shops and restaurants do, you usually have to buy something before you use their laboratory facilities. It can be something small, like a little cup of espresso or whatever, but you still should buy something. It's it's polite. Oh yeah, also fair warning, carry toilet paper with you. We found that out the hard way. I will not elaborate anymore. Let's just say we will be leaving Europe with 1 fewer pairs of socks than we came.
Oh my God.
They also don't have seats on a lot of the toilets here, so you gotta squat. Unlike their American counterparts, European toilets have 2 buttons. One for poop and one for pee. The idea is obviously to save a little bit of water, which I find pretty cute. Considering in America, I leave my shower running between uses to keep the water warm. A lot of southern European countries also use these booty blast bowls when they're done dropping the kids off at the pool. Difference number 3, food. The food in Europe is absolutely atrocious in comparison to what we have in the States. What they do is they don't load them up with preservatives, so you can't get your Big Mac today and enjoy it in 2 months' time. It's nothing short of communism over here. A lot of European countries even use a Nutri-Score to let you know how fast it will clog your arteries and make you feel bad for eating everything that you eat. They had it in France. It was pretty depressing. Don't tell me. It looked a lot like my report card at school. In America, our food is fast and efficient. I mean, shoot, just look at Wonder Bread, man. We call it that because we wonder what's in it. It's fantastic. Or how about Cheese Whiz? You're not gonna find that anywhere.
You don't want to know what it is.
Unless it's in the America aisle at your foreign supermarket.
No, there are some places that have it, actually.
They think we're Cheese Whiz and cereal.
Yeah, I have to say, Cheese Whiz, that's a thing that happens in other countries. That's not just a US thing. Maybe it was created there, but it has evolved, and you can find it in other places, not just in the American aisle.
cereal and Pop-Tarts, and they're right.
Also, what in the name of freedom-loving, democracy-spreading, mobility scooter riding, red, white, and blue apple pie are these patriotic ass brownies I found doing in Italy? And someone please tell me what kind of American experience these off-brand generic Timua cereals are, because I've never seen this in my life.
Difference number 4,
I don't know what that's supposed to
water.
be.
Much like the United States, most European countries have safe tap water. That is except for you guys in the Balkans. Sorry. However, there are definitely water differences between the US and Europe. For one, and this is a major one, check this out.
I'm scared. What's happening?
Water bottle cap still attached.
Okay, that's some bottles have it. That's not that weird.
A lot of Europeans say that actually annoys them that they have their caps attached, but I think this is a fantastic innovation.
Why?
When it comes to restaurants, water is not free like it is in the US. You actually have to pay for a bottle of water that usually looks something like this. I've also noticed that they use a lot more glass over here than we do in the States.
That's
Europeans
good.
also enjoy sparkling water, which I deeply appreciate. When you ask for water here in a European restaurant, your waiter will more than likely follow up by asking you whether you want still or sparkling water. When I order sparkling water in the United States, I'm usually spat on and banned from the establishment. Difference number 5, age. Everything in Europe, like I said, is old. I mean, seriously, this building behind me, the Basilica, is like that many years old. I don't know. I gotta look it up. And the United
old, but
States
it's in the Vatican.
Like
Everything's so old.
Europe is home to palaces, castles, and ancient ruins all over the continent. I mean, we have our ruins too, though. We have, Detroit, St. Louis, Baltimore.
Stop.
Plenty of nice places. Difference number 6. Money. Most countries in the European Union use the euro, you definitely cannot see that, as their currency. The euro is worth a little bit more than the dollar at the time of me making this video, but depending on where you are in the continent, the cost of living might be a little bit more than, a little bit less than, or pretty close to the cost of living in the United States. For example, Norway is generally a lot more expensive than the US, while Portugal is generally pretty cheaper. Pretty cheaper, that's not the way you say that, but pretty cheaper. A lot cheaper. Much cheaper. Europeans also definitely pay a lot more in taxes than we do in the States. As a general rule of thumb, you can expect to lose about a third of your salary to the government in the United States, while here in Europe, in a lot of places, it's more like half or even more than half sometimes. But they also get a lot more social services,
they have more
like
benefits.
tax-funded education and free health care. While in America, you break it, you buy it, and it's not cheap either. Overall, Americans do tend to be a little bit richer than Europeans. They tend to make more money, but the Europeans do get more vacation and leisure time. And
you have to compare the lifestyles.
Nope. Not here?
What's happening?
Alright.
Cancel the video. Did a taxi?
Yeah, I'm something of a bad boy myself. The Vatican police tried to tell me I couldn't record, and, I kept my educational geography footage when he told me not to. I'm something of a criminal myself. Anyway, as I was about to say, in Europe, they use a lot more coins than we do here in the United States, and that's pretty much because they're actually useful over there. This here is a 2 euro coin, and I also have a 1 euro coin. We actually do have golden dollar coins here in the United States, but literally nobody uses them like ever. I genuinely believe most Americans would think that the dollar coin was fake if you showed it to them. You would have to explain why you're paying with a dollar coin if you handed it to someone. They'd be like, "Really? This? Just pay with freaking card, dude. Nobody uses these ever." It does look pretty cool though. It's got the Statue of Liberty on it, and $1. In America, it's expected that we leave like a 20% tip for our waiters at restaurants. We also tip our drivers, food delivery people, valet, the people who clean in customer service, our barbers. That one I get though. I would be afraid to not tip my barber just next time I went. I just don't think I would get the same cut. In Europe, tipping isn't really expected. However, I do think they are starting to pick up the practice a little bit, at least with the tourists, because every time we ate, the waiters asked us if we wanted to leave a tip. They did not hesitate at all. Maybe it's just because we're American. I don't know what looks American.
Oh my god, they saw them as easy prey.
Italian is absolutely perfecto, but beats me. Nonetheless, they asked for them anyway. But tipping is still definitely not viewed as a requirement like it is here in the US, because if you don't tip in America, at least at restaurants, you're going to get some funny looks, or next time you come back, there will be a wad of spit on your food. Unless the service is just actually atrocious. What's good is that in Europe, you're never really going to get that experience where they flip around the little tip tablet thing and stare into your soul as you choose the tip amount. It's horrible.
Difference number 7, public transportation. In Europe, public transportation is in every big city, in pretty much every country. Behind me, I'm about to take the metro station here in Rome. This is the station called Termini. In America, the closest thing we have to public transportation is,
the subway.
nothing. In New York, you have the subway. That's about it. In Chicago, there's some other other stuff. I've heard the DC subway is okay. The metro there is okay. But that's about it.
Oh,
we got our 3 little ones. Maybe 4 somewhere else. I don't know. In addition to the metros here in the big cities, though, Europeans also have trains, high-speed rail that they like to use, whereas we don't. We just drive everywhere all the time, every single day. Usually these kinds of public transportation things are just funded through the taxes, like earlier, how I mentioned Europeans pay more in taxes. These are some of the reasons why.
Europe's fastest train, the Trenitalia Frecciarossa, has a top speed of nearly 250 miles per hour, while America's fastest train, the Acela, has a top speed of 150 miles per hour. Although on average, both of those trains definitely travel slower than their top speeds. Let's not be fooled here. One thing about public transportation, especially in the metros, is that it can get pretty frickin' crowded, dude. I was basically smelling this dude's head the entire ride, but for €3, it was worth it, honestly. Then in Rome, we paid €7 per ticket for a 24-hour metro pass. It was totally worth it. I mean, you could see the entire city. Just hop on the metro. They have stations pretty much everywhere you need to go, so it is very convenient. Would recommend. Another thing is I was actually pretty impressed at how clean the metro stations were in the European cities that I've been to. I've only rode the metros in Paris and Rome, but those two were pretty good, honestly. I'm sure the locals would beg to differ, but for me, like, they weren't that bad. The standards I'm going off of are New York, which is a very low bar to set, to say the least. You gotta make sure you don't have Ratatouille cooking up a lasagna in your hair when you get home from a ride in a New York subway. Difference number 8, smoking and alcohol. In Europe, it seems like everybody smokes cigarettes everywhere. It seems to be a very relaxed kind of thing over there. Maybe people see it as, like, cool. I don't know, man, honestly. In America, we definitely have more of a stigma against smoking, and that's not to say that people don't smoke in America, because trust me, they definitely do. You know, my jaw doesn't just drop every time I see someone smoking a cigarette over here, but it is definitely viewed as like a more taboo kind of thing. I don't know. Another thing is, in America, the legal drinking age is 21, whereas it's 18 in most of Europe, if not even lower in some countries. And now, even though the drinking age is 18, it kind of isn't, because nobody really cares what you do over there. In Europe, they're very relaxed about it, while here in America, they still ask my middle-aged parents to show their IDs when they order a drink. Difference number 9, languages. Basically, every single European, except for the people in this general area, is multilingual. On top of their native languages, people in Europe typically learn American in school, the best language, obviously. Then in Belgium and Switzerland, they take it to a whole other level. The waffle people speak French in the southern part of the country and Dutch in the northern part of the country. The skiing bankers speak French in the western part of the country, Italian in the very south of the country, a little bit of a language called Romansh, and German everywhere else. But hey, in America, some of us call it pop and some of us call it soda! So hey, we've got that. There are only 3 reasons you will find a multilingual person in the United States. Number 1, they were born in another country, easy enough. Number 2, their parents were born in another country and they just sort of learned the language, because why not? Or number 3, a white dude married a Latina and had to learn Spanish to impress her parents. Those are the only 3 reasons. There are no exceptions to that. Believe it or not, the US now has almost as many Spanish speakers as Spain itself, but still 78% of Americans speak only English. Including me. Another thing is that when Europeans do speak English, it's almost always British English. So instead of using the correct spelling of color, they will throw in the stupid ink-wasting U that the British like to use. I mean, what the heck? It's not colour. Do you think you're more sophisticated than us? I mean, you probably are, to be fair. Difference number 10, systems. In America, we use good old feet and miles, while Europeans use meters and kilometers.
The metric system.
Why is it called a foot, I hear you ask? Well, because it's about the length of a foot. I'm not kidding. That's actually why it's called that. In Europe, everyone uses the metric system, which is based on the number 10. So, for example, water freezes at a nice 0 degrees Celsius and boils at a nice 100 degrees Celsius. In America, water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit and boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. I actually had to Google that because I did not remember the number. So fine, the Europeans do better with temperature. I'll give them that. Now, even though my driver's license says I'm 5 feet and 10 inches tall, I'm actually 5'8". But could you imagine me saying I'm 1.7272 meters tall? Like, what? Why? Or even worse, I'm 172.7 centimeters.
That's what it makes sense.
I've been told people in the UK actually still use feet and inches for measurements, which makes sense considering they are the ones that actually created the imperial system way back when, but that's beyond the point. Europeans also travel vertically differently than we do here in the United States. When you get into your European coffin-sized hotel elevator, the first thing that you might notice is that the first floor is actually what would be the second floor here in the US. Usually the very first floor of a European European building is called the ground floor, and then everything else just increases numerically from there. And here's a bonus difference. Europeans dress very fancily. I mean, seriously, dude, all of these stores were in the Rome airport alone. It's just a never-ending sea of overpriced designer apparel. Like, it's actually a little intimidating how well they dress. I just want to wear my Under Armour Freedom American flag shirt with some pajamas, dude. Like, what the heck? It's not that deep. You don't have to dress up for a job interview every time you go to your local supermarket. You should see the things I've seen at my local Walmart. It's atrocious. Maybe don't go that far. You don't have to wear the suit every day. Oh yeah, and I forgot about sirens. In Europe, they sound like... And in America, they sound like... So they're different. So obviously, it's a little difficult to assign overarching differences to a diverse continent like Europe. So I tried to choose differences that I believe do apply, for the most part, to most of the European countries, or if not, most of the countries in the European Union. So I hope you think I did a good job. Please be sure to support the video for free by giving it a nice like and subscribing to my channel. And until next time, goodbye. Alright, this is definitely about to be one of the strangest recordings I have ever done. Just get the money. And a little something like this.
Okay, it's enough, please.
Alright, hopefully that's good enough. I'm not doing that again.
Thank you. Yeah, this is very... I agree with a lot of things. I think some of them were a little surprising. I don't know. I didn't really understand like the stuff about like the fancy stores. I think you can find those are normal all over the world, like in different airports. I think, and maybe they're more usual. I don't know, because I'm trying to think of like, I don't think the United States, like, well, yeah, because they have like international flights coming in. Because I don't think like in domestic flights, obviously you're not gonna find like this big like European fancy stores like, I don't know, Bodega or I don't know, Fendi, Chanel. Like, you're not gonna find those obviously in the middle of, I don't know, like the Detroit airport. But I think like for the most part, I don't know, it's a weird thing for me to be like, oh, you know what, I think in Europe like it's quite like it's a different thing. But I think they're more common all over the world. I think the United States is like the outlier there. As in, like, I think there are several things that I think the United States is the outlier. Like, of course, if you're coming from America, you're gonna be thinking, oh, wow, like, everyone else does it so weird. But I think it's the opposite. Like, you guys are doing it weirdly, and all over the world, people are used to that. Like, for instance, the metric system. I think that's a great example. The United States, I think the only country, I think it's just like, maybe there's more, but there's just like 5 countries all over that actually do, that they don't really have the metric system. And I don't really, that's such a like confusing thing to me. I don't really know, like I've got it, I've seen it, like I've had it explained to me, and it's just like doesn't really stick around. I don't really know how much like the pound differences between like a pound and a kilogram. I don't really understand. The foot thing, it makes sense to me, the centimeter, because it's like, yes, of course, it's like 1 meter, it's like maybe like around like half a person, like, I don't know. And then like you would get around, it's like, yeah, 2 meters, for instance, like someone is like, oh, I'm 2 meters tall, that's like super tall. So you would like get around with it. I do know, like, it's like 5 feet. He's like, what on earth does that mean? I mean, I know what it means because I do know like how much is 5 feet or 5'5" or 5'11", but I don't think, I know it because I know the conversion, I know the difference, but I don't really know like why is a foot? Like he said, it's because it's the length of a foot. But if you would ask me like, please, like how much is a foot? Like how long is it? I don't know. Like people have so many different kind of feet. I don't know. Like a foot is like this. I think that seems small to me, but I think actually feet are larger than you think. Like you've seen like a foot and you're like, oh, it's a foot, it's like small. But actually, have you measured it? I think it's like it's bigger than you think. So I don't really understand like why it's so confusing to me, the whole like feet situation. And of course, like when it comes to like the weather and the temperature, like that's wild to me. It's like I don't understand why the water like should like boil. No, it freezes at like 32. It's like why? Like it doesn't make absolutely any sense. But if you say like it's 0, it's like, oh well, that makes all the sense in the world. Like it's 0 and everything like negative, it's freezed. Like yes, that makes sense to me. But it's like 32. Why do you mean 32? Like that doesn't make any sense. And the 2, I think it's 262 that boils. I don't know. It's just like how come you're expecting to remember those things? I don't know. It's very weird to me. the language, of course, people in Europe, it's just a proximity thing. People are going to be learning like so many different languages, and it's normal for people to just be multilingual. And it's not just like, oh, they speak like 2 languages. It's like, no, they usually like they speak like 3 or 4, because again, it's kind of like the norm. And not just because I think it's like, again, it's proximity. Like if you, or even in your own country, like you mentioned like several examples, if your own country like has several official languages, of course you're going to be able to like speak, maybe not all of them, but like a few of them, because it's like I needed to actually live my life, and you've been surrounded by that other language, like again, your whole life. So it is easier in that sense because you've been learning it since you were a child. And I think the US is like, they don't really see the need. Obviously you have like a second language, but people don't really like, it's at school, and people, unless they have like a specific kind of like interest in learning, it's gotta be like, oh, I actually want to learn. It's not just something that happens like organically or natural. I think that's like maybe can happen a little bit more in Europe, because again, people are just, it's a need. And in the United States, because I think it's so like isolated in the sense of like, it's so big that it's just like, I don't really have a need, because it's like, the United States is so huge that it's like, I don't really have a need to actually like speak anything else than English. So, why would I learn it? And that's what I mean, that you actually have to have like a vented interest in actually like learning. I want to learn whatever, French or something else, because you get the basics. Obviously, like I think most educational systems and most schools obviously have that, and they want you to learn a second language, but people don't really like pay that much attention to it, because they mean how to say like hello, goodbye, and maybe like some couple of phrases, it's normal. But I'm surprised by the amount of people that actually do not like, that actually just plain do not speak other languages, because I think I would love to compare that to like all over the world. I don't know how it is in Asia. I think maybe like it's a similar situation to maybe Europe. Like people at least know 2, and if they don't really know 2, at least I would venture to say they know English. Like everyone understands English. Well, not everyone, but most people understand English and can speak it. But I would love to know like the statistics like between like the United States and the rest of the world, and the United States versus the world, basically. The smoking on alcohol, like I've seen it, I've said it before. It's like in the United States, I don't really like how they do it, because it's like, yes, it's like 20, you need to be 21, and people are like, yes, you can see, like they card you, and they can see that, I'm clearly over 21. Why are you carding me? Like, it's so ridiculous. It's a ridiculous situation. But it's like, because they want to like protect, I don't know, well, I know that it's illegal, whatever, but it's like, I wish they would change the law. I mean, obviously I know that in the list of like things that the United States should probably change, obviously that's like very low priority, but it's like, it's so crazy to me. I think that creates more like problems in the long term. I don't really know actually, like again, the statistics, like how Europe fares when it comes to like alcoholism and problems with alcohol. But I think the fact that you don't really make it a taboo like from a younger age, I think means that people are gonna be like less, it's less, you're not like, oh, I'm waiting till I'm 21 till I can just like binge drink. It's like, no, because it's like a normal thing for everyone to have like maybe a glass of wine, a little bit of beer. Like it's fine when people are teens and parents, like they don't encourage it, but it's just like, it's a normal thing. So it's not like, oh, you're waiting for that moment. And I think that creates like more problems than others. But that's just my opinion again. So I think maybe they should like at some point in the future, maybe they should definitely change that. I'm thinking, he mentioned like some places in Europe how they like the drinking, the legal like drinking age is even lower than 18. I'm guessing it's maybe 16. I don't know what places. I think like for the most part everyone does 18, but I'm surprised that in some places actually 16. And the smoking, yes, I don't really know how many, like how old were you, like when smokers, like would love to ask like Europeans that smoke, like how old were you when you like started smoking? Because I know that in Europe, again, it's maybe I'm generalizing, I don't know, but I think a lot of people, not to say like, I would say like over like 50% of Europeans smoke, like it's just like a cultural thing. Again, it's not a thing of like it's encouraged. I don't really know what's the deal. Like if your parents catch you like smoking when you're a teen, do they get upset, or do they just like say, oh well, a rite of passage, like everyone does it, or they don't really pay that much attention to it? Obviously in the US that's a huge thing. Like you're not gonna, as teens, like you don't really, you get caught like smoking, like you're gonna be in big trouble. because it's definitely like they want you to smoke less, and not just like, again, obviously they want to like catch it earlier, and it's like please don't create that habit, because obviously as an adult it's going to be harder to just like leave it and quit, like I'm quitting. Like, it's obviously harder once you become, I don't know if you can say an addict. I don't know are they like tobacco addicts? I don't really know like the term, but I think for smokers, I've heard that it's pretty hard to just like quit when you're later on in your life. So they try to obviously discourage it, so you don't really create, that attachment. But it is because, it's for health reasons and stuff. But I'm surprised because it's like, I think it's been like a shift in later years of like people should like smoke less or just plain do not smoke because of like health reasons. And it's been like, I think but maybe it's just a US thing, and maybe that's my perspective, but because I would think, well, isn't it like all over the world that they want you to like smoke less because, they found out like all the, yes, it's unhealthy and whatever. So I would think like in Europe, they also have those campaigns, or they used to. I think they're not that common anymore because, again, like few people smoke. So I would love to know, actually, in Europe, like, do they have campaigns of like, hey guys, like, don't smoke? If people pay attention to those campaigns, I think that's another story. But I think I would actually like to know if like they seen like a recent like a decrease of smokers in Europe. I don't think they have, because I think everyone keeps smoking. But I would actually like to know if there's been some efforts on the part of like some governments to actually like try to lower the smoking rates. I don't know. I think that's pretty interesting to me. And I do have to finish by like the food. I think what food do you prefer? Like the European food or the American food? I think it makes, it's gonna depend on who you ask. I think it obviously sometimes some maybe are just like, oh, I'm just craving like a fast food burger or a hot dog. Like I'm craving a specific things, and of course, bearing those things in general. I think, yes, in Europe, I would think most people prefer that kind of food just because it's more natural. I think it usually tastes better, but again, maybe that's just, that's just a personal preference. But because they usually have them, I think there's also like a difference between food that it's prepared like in restaurants and people and food that's prepared like in your house, as in like the actual produce and stuff that you can buy, at a supermarket. It's different. I do think the vegetables and the produce, like, I think it tastes different. I think in the United States, they tend to have, like, I don't know, like, it just tastes, I wasn't going to say, like, an aftertaste. I don't want to necessarily say it's an aftertaste, but they definitely, like, the taste, it tastes different. Like, but again, it tastes different, like, depending on, like, a tomato, it's going to taste different depending on where you are. That's just like a fact of life. I don't know why, but again, like things just like taste different depending on when they're grown or what area of the world they were grown. But I think again in Europe it's more like a natural situation, and probably they have like less fertilizers of the sort, and obviously like food that you can get like in prepackaged is also going to be, I think, a little bit more natural. I think, I don't know, that's just my opinion. And maybe that's why maybe you would think that it tastes better. But I don't know if you're not used to eating that kind of food, and this is like the first time you're eating that produce or food that's prepared in restaurants in Europe, you're going to be like, oh no, this tastes pretty weird if you've never had like anything else in your life. Maybe that's the case. But it's like, well, I get it. Maybe it's a thing about personal taste, but I think the difference that in taste, especially like in prepackaged stuff, like you said, like bread or some other artificial things, is in obviously some of the stuff that they put in. Like in the United States, they put like so many extra things and add-ons that it's gonna affect you. Ultimately, it's gonna affect the taste of what you're eating. Also, I don't know if it has changed like in recent years, but I think they put a lot of sugar and stuff as well, and everything just tastes sweeter. It's kind of an insane and wild, but it's like, yes, I can guarantee it tastes so much sweeter than if you were getting like the same brand, the same like kind of thing in other places. I can guarantee the US version, it just tastes sweeter because they put like so much sugar on it, which is like crazy. And also the portions, he was like, oh, they gave me like this little like plate of pasta, I think, I'm guessing in Italy. And he was like, oh, this is a snack. It's like, no. To begin with, I think ask any Italian. They will tell you the portions that you like, the pasta portions tend to be small. They're not going to serve you like this gigantic plate of like pasta and spaghetti. Like, no, they have pasta, yes, but it's smaller because that's just like the regular portion, like per person. Like, you would be kind of freaks out by the amount. I think it's just like by the few amount of grams that usually they have. Like, that's just like the portion of pasta that people actually eat. And I think it's like, you guys are wrong. Like, it's the United States that does it differently. They have like so much, like the portions are so big that it's kind of like a wild situation. And it's like, it's not that the other ones are smaller, it's that you guys do it everything like very, like, it's like supersize me. Yes, like everything's just bigger there, and you're gonna be surprised if that's the only thing you've seen when you go out of the world and you encounter regular portions. It's like, no, the US has, everything's bigger there. But it's not that the other places like have smaller portions, it's you guys that have bigger portions. And you guys are the outliers because, again, the portions in the US are kind of crazy. And it's like, yes, in Europe, like usually people, again, they eat normally, but it's just like, it's normal size portions, not like this gigantic plates of food, which I think it could be quite a shock. And otherwise, like, again, for people in Europe, when they visit the United States, they're gonna be like, whoa, why is everything so big? The drink size is like, everything's ginormous. And it's like, yes, well, that's how they do it over there. But yes, this was very interesting, and I'm surprised that it was like early, at the beginning of the video. It was like, oh, I don't think they're that different. It's like, I think they are. But again, that's just like my opinion. But that was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.